Investing in Sports, NBC Universal. First time I believe he's been on. I see him at all these events when he always shows up to get awards and to honor groups for charity and everything else. Is Mark Lazarus. Mark, nice to talk.
Nice to talk. Thanks for finally inviting me.
Yeah, oh, no, don't give me that now. But the NBC guys, of course, they got a huge week here, and away we go now for the Super Bowl. Good to have you with us. This is a big week now for you. You got the game Sunday, and then you got lots of crew members over there in Korea.
We do.
So you got a huge couple weeks here of sports for NBC.
You know, we're kind of terming it the best February ever, the best Feb ever, and it really started last weekend with NHL All-Star Weekend. You know,
in Tampa,
hockey's a big property for us, and we're very proud of our relationship there. So we had the skills competition and then the game on Sunday here in Minneapolis now. Obviously the biggest game in the land. Great matchup, exciting matchup. Looking for a close game. Big names, a lot of excitement, and then right from here off to Korea. So really a fantastic month for us and our company.
And I know NBC is chartering. I saw Bruce Beck. He was telling me you chartered a plane for a lot of these employees, so they're going to leave here on Monday morning, go right to Korea. Correct?
Yeah, we're going to leave Monday morning. We have just over 80 people leaving from here. Who will have worked endless hours here in Minneapolis.
Then
and
a straight run through.
Leave here on Monday morning, land in Yangyang, South Korea, about 45 minutes away from Pyeongchang, about midday on Tuesday. And games start Thursday, so it's right into it.
There you go. We got a lot to do here now. Let's start with the big one in the room. Now, I know that you handled it well. I thought because he's been such a signature of NBC Sports, you may have wanted him to do it anyway. Costas is not going to host your pregame. And McHugh and Patrick did it all year, so that makes some sense. But the cynic's going to say that maybe the NFL, because Bob says things about concussions. We all know about the Maryland Symposium. Now, you're close to all these commissioners. You know, you rub elbows with the biggest people in sports. Did Goodell say, you know what, can we lay low with Bob at the pregame show?
Never had a single conversation about it with him.
Is that accurate? You're telling me the truth on that?
100%.
Really? Good for you.
Not a single conversation. And, you know, as you said, Liam and Dan handled our football all year, save for one opening essay that Bob did on overtime on opening Thursday night, which was something he had always wanted to do and believed strongly in. So we gave him that platform to do it. So Liam and Dan handled it all year long, and with Mike Tirico also doing the Sunday stuff. And it just didn't make sense to introduce Bob at the end of the year. And frankly, you know, it's a platform that Dan and Liam have earned, and Bob was very respectful of that. He and I did discuss it, and he said graciously, you know, I would do it if you thought it was important. But I think it's their turn, and we all agreed mutually that it was the right thing, and we move on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they've been doing it all year. Bob's done it a million times. He hates the cold weather to begin with. But, you know, the cynic out there says, boy, you know, Goodell, maybe he twists his arms. You're telling me, Marky, that didn't happen.
100% not true.
All right, that's number one. That's important. From the rating perspective, I know this game does over 100 million. Was it 110 the record? Is that what it is?
114, I think.
114. Based on the year.
Which was an NBC event.
Oh, which game was that? Was it the Pittsburgh-Arizona game?
No, it was 3 years ago.
Oh, it was the Seattle game.
The Seattle and New England
game.
This is the third Super Bowl that I've been part of, and New England's been in all three.
Oh, my goodness. There is some Patriot fatigue. But I use the ratings, you know, from an NFL perspective. You got to put it in context. All these other sports would love the ratings that the NFL gets. But they have decreased, you know, the 9, 10%, whatever it might be. Are you expecting that trend maybe to continue for this game, that you won't, say, get over 105, 106 million people?
You know, I think that's potential what could be reported. What I focus on as well, though, is something that's not reported, and what that is out-of-home viewing. And Nielsen has not perfected their ability to measure people watching in groups in people's homes or in bars or at clubs, country clubs, not your kind of club.
No, I get it. Yes.
But they haven't perfected that viewership. So I believe the Super Bowl's been underrepresented over the years, and I think it will continue to be. Might there be a slight downcrease if it follows current trends? Yes. But a close game sure fixes a lot of good things.
It does. The rating gets, look at the Minnesota-Philadelphia game. It had a bad rating at the end because nobody's watching it. And you guys had a great rating for the Jacksonville-New England game, which usually the primetime game championship Sunday does better, but you had the better game.
Yeah, well, that was CBS.
That was CBS. I apologize.
That's
yes.
okay. They're good people, too.
But CBS had the better rating for that game than Fox did because it was a better game.
You know, people want to see an exciting competitive matchup in any form of sport, and football's no different.
I spoke to Katz about it, and he made a good point. He said you guys were very good about it. It couldn't have been done unless you agreed to it. You gave up that last game there on New Year's Eve. There wasn't a game that you could do that would be a standalone, plus it's a bad TV net anyway. They're going to make it up for you. He said one game in the next 5 years will take care of them.
Yep.
But you gave that up there in that scenario on New Year's Eve.
We thought it was the right thing for us, the right thing for the league, the right thing for the fans. I mean, to ask fans to go out there on that night, on New Year's Eve, in a game that maybe doesn't mean anything, instead of having a 1 or a 4 o'clock game, to have to go out there at 8:30 at night is a tough sell, and probably not in the best interest of anybody. And I think it was the league took a fan's perspective. We took a perspective, a little bit for the fans, but also for viewers, and it just made a lot of sense. And the partnership and the ability for us to have that dialogue with the league is what I'm mostly proud of. I mean, we can have that and said, you know what, we can change the contract. No one's pulling it out and saying you have to do this, and we're saying you have to do this. We can have a dialogue and make what's best, and that's really the basis of a good relationship.
Did you hear from some advertisers, Mark? Did NBC hear from big advertisers beginning of the year with the kneeling scenario?
We heard from a couple of guys and some who were public, like a Papa John's and some others who said that they didn't want to be near it, but no one said that they want their money back necessarily. So
no paybacks, nothing. Nobody pulled advertising.
Nope.
They may have been moaning and groaning, but they stuck with you.
Yeah, and some of them, I think it was such an interesting topic. I mean, you covered a lot, you talked a lot about it. We all did. It was such an interesting topic because I think, first of all, on the whole, it wasn't that many players.
Right. No.
But there were some. But it got played into this giant protest, which it really wasn't. It also got played into around. The purpose of it wasn't articulated very well, maybe by the players, and I do pin that on them a little bit, because they let someone else, namely the government, frame the narrative of what it was about. It was never about necessarily patriotism or the military or our veterans. It was about some social injustice that they believed in, and I don't think it was articulated particularly well, and the narrative got shifted on them. Once the league and they came together and were able to bring the narrative back, I think it tamped down some of it, and I think in reaction to that, far fewer players were doing any form of protest. I do think it had some impact. There were people who were offended by it, and I understand that.
I think it impacted the ratings.
Yeah, I agree with that. Our job is not to editorialize on it. Our job was to document it, and that's what we strive to do and do.
Overall, the Sunday night TV ratings this year, went down a little bit. What was the percentage that it went down?
Went down roughly, high single digits.
8-9%.
Yeah.
How much does that concern you?
Well, anytime we go down, it concerns us. A little bit of, matchups that didn't pan out the way we wanted, games that weren't close the way we wanted. But I'll flip that on its head and say it's the #1 show on TV for the 7th consecutive year, never been done before. No show has been #1 for 7 consecutive years. So while it may be down a little, its dominance is increasing in a fractured landscape.
Yeah, that tells you, that's why people go a big deal about these ratings being down. You got to take it easy. They're still going to get 100 million people watching the game. No other sport touches 100 million people.
And I'll talk about one of our competitors here. The world likes to tell how ESPN's business is in big trouble. They still make a lot of money. They're not. It's a very healthy business. It may have its struggles like we all do, but it's an important place for sports, and I think Sunday Night Football is the same way, or football in general. It's dominating the media landscape, and again, 7 years in a row. We had been tied with American Idol. After that, there was shows like All in the Family, Gunsmoke, Cosby that had 4 or 5 years, but nothing like this, and we intend to keep it going for the term of our contract. Where
do we stand right now with Thursday night? I know Fox wants to get involved. Who knows when we're going to get an answer? They're going to make it a 1-year contract again. Where do you stand with Thursday night's package?
We made what we think is an interesting and aggressive bid. We have had some dialogue, but we'll wait and see. We've not gone too much further. I don't know exactly when and where we will have the next dialogue. We're a little tied up with the Super Bowl, as is the league. But we had a 2-year deal, not a 1-year deal.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2 years.
So if you remember, CBS had a 2-year deal, or really was a 1-and-1, and then we and CBS had 2-year deals, and that's up now. And I think Fox with their changing company might be very aggressive, and it might end up there, or it could end up elsewhere. But listen, it's still a highly rated product and a good product.
It's not a killer if you don't got it or don't have it, but you want it though. You want it.
It was 5 nights. And we got
That's a good 25 games. That's a good point.
We got 365 nights a year of primetime.
25 nights overall?
It was for us this year. It was 5 nights and 1 afternoon game this past contract. We had 5 prime and 1 on Christmas Day. So it was not, it's 5 nights. Would we like it? If it's going to be there, we'd like to be part of it, but we have a discipline as a company to what we're willing to spend and pay, and we have such a huge commitment to Sunday Night Football that we don't feel like it's a must-have, but it would be nice to get if we could. Mark
Lazarus is doing a great job here, and I'm going to keep him a little longer because he's giving me some good answers, so there you go. What package right now, without being... I'm not trying to sit there and, make a war here and get a little note on television or getting broadcasting. Mark Lazarus wants this. But, you had Wimbledon, okay. Yeah, I know that bothered you. I talked to Chance about it when he lost. He was very upset. You had the U.S. Open. You switched out with the British Open. You had the great British Open last year. What package right now that, you really regret losing in the last, say, a couple of years? Was it Wimbledon?
Well, losing, yeah. I think Wimbledon, which was so early in my tenure in the role that I'm in, literally was within 45 days.
Very difficult
of me stepping into this role. Though it came on the heels of winning a long-term extension on the Olympics, so I didn't feel like I had a big credibility problem in the marketplace. But Wimbledon had been with NBC for so many years, and breakfast at Wimbledon and all that went with that I just felt that we had let some people down in the company who really felt it was an important part of the fabric of the company. So yeah, that one stung. And the U.S. Open also, we were great partners with them, and that one didn't feel very good either. And I think, as you asked sort of what would you like, championship golf. We're golf is in sort of the DNA of our company. We own the Golf Channel. We manage that. We have a very successful, not just media golf business, but golf business with tee times and instruction and other avenues of the game. So being as involved as we can possibly be with championship golf is good for us. Now, we have a great relationship with the PGA Tour, and that's the backbone of everything we do in golf. And, keeping that long term is important too.
But you only do have the one major, and you got the Ryder Cup, and you got the TPC, which is, I know, important. But CBS is
and the President's Cup,
and the President's, which needs to be done differently, so it's a little more competitive. But that's a story for a different day.
Yeah, in terms of coverage, that's exactly right. You've got our roster nailed. But what we do with our live from programming is we're at every major. We have such relationships with the governing bodies and with the other broadcasters that know that Golf Channel is central to the game of golf and to golf fans, and that we're there to help promote the game. And we really feel like we are part of the big voice of the game. So while we're not televising those events, and that's a goal,
you feel you have a role.
We have a role, and we have a presence, and we have a good working relationship with all of them. It's not like we're walked away from it.
Do you still split the hockey revenue 50-50?
We don't know. We have that was when there was a different rights fee arrangement.
So now you pay them a certain rights fee to do all the games.
Fee, and,
okay, I didn't know that.
We keep the revenues. That started in 2000. Well, the deal was done in 2011 for the next season.
I'm way off, 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, but you're close. You're right in the range.
No, not close enough. So in other words, then you pay them the rights, and then you get anything that you want to get as far as the games are concerned.
Yeah, and we have a great relationship. Then we feel like we've helped grow the game. I think they've done some great things. Gary's done some great things, and I think his job is amongst the most complicated commissioner jobs, if not.
Well, he's got half a sport in Canada. It makes
very
it tricky.
Difficult. Double, two different different agendas with each country, two different agendas with media partners.
He's got a million TV partners. He's got He's got you guys. He's got Canadian television. Yep. He's got a million TV.
He does, and so I think that's a very complicated role, and he's done a great job. And what they've done with the game's gotten faster, more exciting. They're limiting the size of goalie pads, so scoring is up. It's not so much fighting. It's about speed and skill, and it's really been. I think what they've done to make that game more and more exciting. And for me, Stanley Cup playoff hockey, there is almost nothing more exciting in sport. It is just incredible. The pace of play, the skill, the physicality of it, the number of nights they have to play. It's just really, really exciting. We love being part of that.
Yeah, and I thought you guys had a great deal with the NBA forever. I hated when Stern took the more money, whatever it was, $75 million total, I believe it was. I know Ebersol told me about that a long time ago.
Yeah, it was before my time at NBC, but I was on the other side at Turner.
Oh, so
I still had it. I was still part of that.
You still got it, but yeah. I love those Sunday games on NBC, 12, 3:30, and 5:30. I mean, that was some of the great.
And Adam's doing a great job with the league, and they should be very proud of what they're building.
Let's do the Olympics for a sec. This is going to be a tricky one. Winter Olympics, number one. It's the undesirable location, the time thing. Give me a little rundown on that.
Well, first, undesirable location
from
is in the eye of the beholder.
Well, a television standpoint.
Well, it's actually more. It's better than you think, than most people think.
Because it's so far ahead.
It's 14 hours. So 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. there, the heart of the day, is our prime time here the night before, 8 p.m. to midnight. If you think about what takes place at a Winter Games with alpine skiing and sledding, bobsledding.
It's on in the daytime.
It's all in the daytime. It's in that window. We're going to have the most live Winter Olympics ever. So that should be very exciting. And then the figure skating, we worked with the governing bodies, and the figure skating will also take place live.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
So we have what we think is a very exciting lineup with a lot of prime time. The thing that can be hurtful to us is weather. And if you end up in a time where, if alpine skiing because of wind or mostly wind or fog or other things that cancel events, there's just not as much programming in a Winter Games as there is in a Summer Games. So you have to fill. But we're really excited that Mike Tirico is going to be our new primetime host. He is over there. He landed about 12 hours ago.
Oh, he just went. Okay.
Just went. He landed about 12 hours ago. The rest of our team, we have several hundred people there already. We'll end up with about 2,000 people there, and then about 1,000 people invading our neighborhood in Connecticut, working solely on the games. So in all, roughly 3,000 to 3,500 people. Going to bring over 2,400 hours of programming back. And we've got some great stars, some young athletes.
A lot of them. Now, let me throw a devil's advocate at you. Is it possible that the Olympic feel for the American sports fan is past its prime? Russia with the doping, no NHL hockey. The cities that host the Olympics, they got a lot of white elephants when it's all done as far as the buildings are concerned. HBO did a big thing a few years ago, last time, which was a rough expose.
Yeah, they left out the cities that have done well.
Yeah, they did.
They forgot about Atlanta and Barcelona and a few of the others. So
that's a good point.
They cherry-picked. They cherry-picked their cities, and that's their prerogative, but I wouldn't call it accurate.
Fair point.
So... is it past its prime? I don't think so. The doping, we're very proud that the IOC took a firm stance against Russia, kicked out the dirty athletes, retested all the athletes to see who could pass and who could come in, and many made it in. And
you feel that they did that fairly, that 400 Russian athletes are going to participate under
it's not 200, 180 or
okay,
something.
Less. Under the neutral flag. You think that's fair, though?
I do. I think clean athletes should be allowed to participate. You took a class and took a test. The kid next to you cheated, but you didn't. You shouldn't fail.
Fair.
I think so. I think it is fair, and I do think it's a stern warning, and the IOC took decisive action, and so I am happy. The hockey, we wish the NHL players would have come. We are excited to see what happens with this. We go back and just left a media thing that we did here with Al Michaels, and
is he going, by the way?
He's not. He's not going. But he believes in miracles, and we're pretty excited to see what kind of hockey tournament comes along here. Hockey is played at off times. It's not a big part of our big primetime NBC coverage. It's more on the cable side.
Right.
So
that's not as big a deal. It's not as big a deal.
So I do believe that Americans want to see young American athletes or whoever, quality athletes from wherever they are in the world, compete at the highest level, win medals. The sacrifices that these kids or people have made to get to the highest level of these sports, many of which this is the pinnacle of their athletic career, and then they move on to another part of their life. The emotion of that, and whether it's Shaun White or Chloe Kim or Nathan Chen or Mikael Shiffrin or Lindsey Vonn, Those are exciting athletes.
And we're going to see a lot of them in the pregame with the Super Bowl. Aren't you doing some special things with them to get them introduced to America?
You're going to see a few cutaways back and forth in the Super Bowl between Pyeongchang and here. So you'll see that, and then you'll see some spots that we created with those 5 athletes in particular, and then a few other promotional spots, introducing them, reintroducing them to the world and what they've sacrificed to get where they are, and to basically bring the emotion and power of the Olympic Games. And I would submit that the uniting factor of the games, in case in point, the Korean athletes are going to walk in together.
First time.
You're
going to cover that. That's going to be a big deal with the North Korea and South Korea.
Of course. I mean, the fact that the North Koreans are there and that they're going to participate and they're going to walk in with the South Koreans. The Olympics are proving to be more unifying than any government or any governing body can be. And that's a really important message, and I think that the country and the world needs that more now than ever.
What's the rating that you guaranteed to the advertisers? Did you guarantee them one?
We did, but we guarantee a total audience, so there's not really a rating anymore because the way we aggregate what we call our total audience delivery between television on broadcast, television on cable.
You want eyeballs to their stats. That's what you handle.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than you. You don't care if they come over terrestrial or
no, as long as they come.
Or digital or this, as long as they watch. We want to aggregate big audiences, so we think we'll have the most consumed games ever across all platforms.
All right, and you think this will resonate with America? I'm curious if this will resonate with the American sports fan or the American family, and you seem to think it will.
I think it will. I think it's more about, to me, it's the sports fan is part of it, but this is really beyond sports.
It's a family event.
Multi-generational viewing. It's all the good things about competition and youth and bringing the world together, and I sure hope it does. We're planning on that happening.
Now you don't have Lauer because of the scenario with him. He's a huge part, and you don't have Costas, so you don't have 2 big people. No, I don't know. Is Meredith Vieira going to be in the mix?
No. Katie Couric is going to step in with Mike Tirico and do the opening ceremonies.
Okay.
The Today Show will be there with Savannah and Hoda, which have risen in ratings since they were put together as a team.
Oh, the ratings have been better with the 2 of them than they were with Matt. Okay.
Yes. So, and maybe the time is just right. It's the first all-female morning show team.
They're going to be there every day.
They will be there for the entirety of the time with Al and Dylan Dreyer and
so
the whole team.
So they can do that live at 10 o'clock at night?
Yes.
Wow.
9 o'clock at night.
9 o'clock at night, yeah.
9 o'clock at night.
7 o'clock, yeah. Because my wife watches all the time.
You got to change your mind.
At 14.
It takes a little while. I got it down now.
Are you going yourself for the 2 weeks?
Oh, yeah. I'm leaving
Monday morning. So we're not going to see you in America until February 26th, or thereabouts?
Yes.
Wow.
And started in Tampa last weekend and haven't.
So a long stretch for you.
Yeah.
Any packages that I need to know about? I'd love to see NBC get them. Is there any big package? I'd love to see you get back in baseball in some capacity.
We have baseball locally with a bunch of our regional sports networks, and we love being part of baseball. We will look at every deal. We're a company that at its roots had baseball. If you go back to the beginning of NBC Sports,
God, yeah, baseball.
We broadcast the first baseball game ever.
That was on with Barber. That was NBC.
I don't remember. I don't know the year. It was, only John Miller was there. There weren't that many.
But yeah, baseball has been part of the, with all those great directors you had, and Gowdy and Kubek and everybody. It was all NBC.
Ted Nathanson, all the guys that were there. I mean, we have a rich history in that, and so we will look at every deal that becomes available. We pride ourselves on being great partners and working with leagues and teams to grow their business and put their brands out there.
And last thing, and you've been nice enough to stay for such a long time, is there a scenario where it gets tricky for you as the boss, who is in the middle of allowing your broadcasters at times to be journalists and at the same time being partners with big events, whether it's IOC, NFL, football, whatever it might be, where it's a business relationship that you have with the people that you cover, but by the same token, you got to make sure your broadcasters, they went to school to be journalists, and you got to let them be journalists. That's a tricky line for the head of the company. How do you handle that?
It is sometimes, but I think we have to be honest with the viewers, and that's where it starts, like you do with your listeners. We've got to be honest and authentic with them. We have to. If we don't have that, we don't have any credibility at all. And we just, the partners need to understand, we don't need to sensationalize. We don't need to glorify or be out to make news ourselves. But if it is news, we need to cover it, good, bad, or indifferent, about whether it's a partner or non-partner.
If Goodell hypothetically had told you, I don't want Costas involved, yet Costas said, I want to do the pregame, that would have put you in a tough spot. What would you have done?
Well, first of all, I don't believe Roger would have ever said that.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
That's not
his way?
It's not his way. I mean, it's not his way. He knows that we have to do our jobs, and we do our jobs. Bob's been on Sunday Night Football for a long, long time. He wouldn't have waited till this time to make that statement.
Is Roger going to do the pregame, do an interview for the pregame?
At this point, he is not doing an interview with us.
Because he's never done one, right, on NBC with the pregame. Is that correct?
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
But, I mean, you'd love to see him, and he's had a big year. You want to see him.
Yeah.
You've asked. He doesn't want to do it at the moment.
At the moment, his schedule doesn't allow for it the way ours is.
Give him 10 minutes, for goodness sakes. What's the big deal? He went on all these radio shows. He won't come here. I can't get him here.
Yeah,
he went on Coward. He went on ESPN. He doesn't do NBC on Sunday afternoon.
At this point, he hasn't agreed to do it, but he's welcome to come. But listen, we get a lot of good time with Roger. We know exactly where he stands on things, and he doesn't insert himself into what we're doing as in terms of how we're relating to the fans.
Don't disappear now. Greg, that's up to you. Let him come on once in a while. He does a good job. Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Enjoy the month. You got a big one for
you. You too. Have a great week here.
You got it. Mark Lazarus, great to have him with us. We take a timeout. We continue at 10 after the 4 on a busy program here in Minnesota. Come on back.